Correspondent-at-large, the great Geraldo Rivera. Hello, Geraldo. That clip that did play from Caroline, they're planning this shocking evidence tonight. I mean, I don't know what the president's going to say. It has not been telegraphed in detail, but I have been wondering, you think?
Sorry.
Are you even going to watch?
I'm yawning.
You going to watch?
It's going to be the lowest rated speech in prime time ever. Nobody cares about this same BS. He's made liars out of the Republican Party with this fake election grievance. He sent hundreds of FBI agents to the field office in Atlanta, and he's, using all kinds of federal resources, trying to dig up this dead old dog. I tell you, Connell, I mean, we have no patience for it. You have immigration, you have, all of these, you have Iran, you have affordability, you have so many issues that matter to the American people. Nobody cares about his grievances.
That's what a lot of Republicans are saying behind the scenes. So we don't want to hear, we don't want, we being Republicans, to hear from our Republican president about this because he thinks they might hurt them politically rather than focused on what you say the people are focused on.
Well, this is a good way to guarantee the re-election of Ossoff in Georgia.
Right.
Is just to keep digging up this old dog. I'm telling you, I don't understand it. I mean, I get that he has this grievance, but what it does is it reminds me, Connell, of why I didn't vote for him. It reminds me of January 6th. It reminds me of all of the infamy that was associated with his refusal to give up his office until he was kicked screaming out of the Oval Office finally.
But you remind people you were relatively supportive and friendly with the president on a personal level until January 6th.
That's exactly right. And I love the guy. And I just have to remind myself of how I felt when I first saw what was happening on January 6th. When I saw the anarchy, when I saw the officers being assaulted, when I saw the Capitol being defiled. And then the president leaving office with his tail between his legs, really without any of the grace and historical demeanor that went with the majesty of the peaceful transition of administrations. And to now see him, I don't understand why he keeps going back to it. And then he opens up his jacket and says, "See, I got it right here." And you look and you see the emperor has no clothes on. There's nothing there. What is there? How many times are you going to investigate it? And the worst thing is, as a Republican, the worst thing is he's making liars out of generations of Republican voters. He's making people pretend that they also see that there was irregularities and dishonesty and widespread fraud in the 2020 election.
Or at least not answer the question when they're asked, as they have been in hearings and other things. We've seen all those montages all over the place with Jay Clayton and everybody else. I think your point about Ossoff politically is a really interesting point. He's the senator, or one of them, he and Warnock, the two senators from Georgia. So it seems like, I said this earlier, Ossoff is looking at this almost like, from his point of view, like a campaign commercial. You could see what his argument will be and what his ads are going to look like. But here's what Ossoff had to say ahead of the president. Again, we don't even know what the president's going to say, but ahead of the president with the speculation about what he might say, the senator said this.
I think one of the reasons that the president's reheating these debunked conspiracy theories and spreading new lies is because he's laying the groundwork for a potential challenge to the result. Another bad faith challenge.
So that type of thing, theoretically, could fire up the president's base. But on the other hand, and I think this is probably far more prevalent, it doesn't help you with the swing voters that decide elections in places like, oh, I don't know, Georgia.
Exactly right. And if there's nothing there, as I totally suspect there's nothing there, again, he will have to, with the Republicans running for office, will have to justify the enormous federal resources devoted to chasing this dead old dog.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's the kind of thing that it doesn't take a politician. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to, spend all your time reading The Hill. You just know that if something had come up, we would know about it. If, for instance, they had really found that the Chinese had jury-rigged the computers in all these various states to deny him his victory. I mean, don't you think what did Tulsi Gabbard do when she was dragged down to Atlanta to accompany the FBI when they raided the warehouse where they had these old election results. What did she do? Was this one of the reasons she left as Director of National Intelligence? That this demeaning, task that nobody believes in, that even the agents, and his obsessive interest in every wrinkle, in every development. Oh, we're really tell me more. It's just. You wonder what,
I know
why,
you said you won't be watching, but we're on at 9 o'clock tonight. I want to get you on one more issue. You mentioned the Hill. We had this Hill Nation Summit yesterday in Washington. I was down there for that. The issue I want to ask you about is Israel. So they had this vote where more than 100 Democrats voted to cut off aid to Israel. And John Fetterman, who was at the summit, the Senator Democrat from Pennsylvania, had this to say. Take a listen.
If you're willing to engage with these people that are describing why Hamas has the right to have attacked and done that on 10/7. That demonstrates we are trying to ingratiate ourselves with that segment of the base or our voters that are intensely anti-Israel. And I've described that if our party ever becomes, and just make it official as the anti-Israel party, that's when I would leave, because that's been a moral clarity for me.
All right, Geraldo, what do you make of the Democrats in Israel and Fetterman's, I guess, warning there that if they keep moving in this direction, he's out, which could be a big deal numbers-wise?
I think that Democrats really have to pay attention to what Senator Fetterman is saying. He really believes that there is, a kind of a growing cancer in American public opinion where Hamas, in a way, won the Gazan war. How did they win it? They put their civilians out front. They committed the atrocities of 10/7. Then they retreated behind their women and children, and then civilian casualties mounted, and Israel was way excessive. I totally agree with the critics that say that. But there was the catalyst. What was the catalyst? The worst crime against the Jewish race since the Holocaust, October 7th. It was the kind of thing that Israel responded to, and any of us would have responded. The level or the extent of the involvement, you can leave that, that can be debated, and I think righteously so. I think Netanyahu went overboard. But he went overboard, and Hamas knew that he would go overboard, I maintain. That's why they did it. That's why I think they partially won the war in Gaza. Hamas won the war in Gaza because it twisted public opinion against the Jewish people and against Israel, the Jewish state, in a way that I think will resonate in a toxic way for generations. I think this is terrible what happened, and Fetterman is right to be vigilant against it. And the fact that 100 Democrats voted to cut aid to Israel is really something that's very, very shocking. And Israel's elections are coming up. I hope the Israeli people are watching also and listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's an impact there, but a political impact here could be, see that many in the House, could be felt in the Senate with Fetterman. We'll watch that, especially after the midterms. Thank you, Geraldo. You're the best, Geraldo Rivera. The president, as we said, 9 o'clock tonight, so that will be carried on NewsNation, 9/8 Central. Then.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.